All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for lesson 2.7, properties and strategies, and this one involves the I can statement. I can use mathematical properties to solve problems mentally or in your head. Okay, so we talked about the commutative property before. Changing the order of the addends, the numbers you add, doesn't change the sum or the total. So I could do a plus b or b plus a. As an example, I could do 9 plus 5 is the same as saying 5 plus 9. It doesn't make any difference. For the associative property of addition, it says changing the grouping of addends, the numbers you add, doesn't change the sum, which is the total. What that really means is you can play around with the order in an addition string like this. It's not going to change the outcome of the answer. Sometimes when we regroup, it really helps. So, for example, I could do 4 and 7/10 plus 2 and 6/10 plus 1 and 4/10. This parentheses are telling me to solve this first. But if I regroup these, I'm going to end up with numbers that are going to equal a whole number here, 2 and 6/10 plus 1 and 4/10. And although it doesn't show it in here, you can actually change the order of the numbers in the problem. You don't even have to leave the addition string the same way. Okay. Now the distributive property of multiplication over addition is a little trickier for some kids because they just aren't as familiar with it. Okay. So multiplying a number by a sum gives the same answers as multiplying the number by each addend and then adding the product. Sounds like Greek, I know. Okay, so let's talk about what that means. What they're telling you is I can, in this case, if I've got a times b plus a times c, that's the same as adding b and c together and multiplying it by a. Again, probably sounds like Greek. So let's take a look at this as a number example. For example, 4 times 2 plus 3, which 2 plus 3 is 5, 4 times 5 is 20. That is exactly the same as saying 4 times 2 plus 4 times 3. 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. I add those together, that's going to be 20. Oftentimes it's easier to combine the addition portion and multiply by 4. Now, this only works if we're multiplying both number by the same factor. Okay, that's the only way that works. I would like you to write all of these down in your math notebook. Okay, the commutative, associative, and distributive property, and that includes the examples as well, so you have something to fall back on. You're going to want to pause the video for this. However, am going to keep going. Okay, so let's talk about the associative property in action. Okay, so let's say I've got this string of numbers here, 50,000 plus 25,000 plus 38,000 plus 75,000 plus 50,000. Okay, well, I look right here, I can take 50,000 plus 50,000, regroup that. I can take 25,000 and 75,000, regroup that, and when I do that, it's going to look like this. By doing this, I combine these easy numbers to add together. 50,000 and 50,000 is 100,000, got 100,000 here, and 38,000. When I add all of that together, I get 238,000, and I can do that just kind of working that through in my head. And you can do this pencil and paper. Just because we talked about it mentally doesn't mean you have to do it that way, okay? You can also do it with fractions here. I'm going to regroup these, okay? I got fifths, fourths, 17ths, yuck, okay? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to combine my fifths, and I'm going to combine my fourths, and I'm going to leave the 17ths alone, so I'm going to rewrite it like that. 2 and 4 fifths plus 1 fifth, 3 fourths plus 1 fourth, and then plus 5 17ths, okay? This equals 3, this equals 1. When I add that together, I get 4 plus the 5 17ths. Now, let's look at that distributive property in action. Here I've got 7 times 45 plus 7 times 55 equals 7 times 45 plus 55. I'm going to add those two together first, which equals 7 times 100, which equals 700. Okay? And it's a lot easier to do it this way than trying to multiply 7 times 45 plus, and then do 7 times 55 and then re-add the answers together when I can just combine them right here. Again, 7's the same factor in both numbers here. That's why this works. All right. You're going to have a problem similar to this when you do your seat work. So find the combined area of these two rectangles. Okay. So area equals length times width. So I'm going to end up with this one, 10 times 57 plus 10 times 43. I see right away I can combine 57 and 43 to give me an easier number to multiply. Okay, when I do that, I get 10 times 100 after I add these together, and that's going to equal 1,000 square feet. Remember, we're talking about area, not perimeter, so it's square feet, everything that covers the inside. Okay, here are your practice problems for today. You're going to regroup the top using the associative property and then add. You should have copied down all those notes from your math notebook so you can go back and see how you did that. regrouping those. Okay, here you're going to use the distributive property to rewrite the problem so it only has two factors, those numbers you multiply by. Okay, and then you're going to solve these. All right, if you have questions, we'll go over these tomorrow, and we'll see you soon.